Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this is a decent angle. I previewed slightly. I am going through the wiring now on the car. Obviously I'm trying to choose what I need and I don't need, and I assumed I could get rid of about 80% of this thing at least, and it's looking like that. I have been what I have here is, some of you may or may not know, I do IT work, and this is a 1000 watt server power supply, at least one of multiple they usually have. And then this is an Amazon power probe, which works fantastic. Auto Tool BT160. And when you power this up and you touch power stuff, it's red. You touch ground, it's green. And then you can throw power and ground, and you can use this little alligator clip to choose where you're grounding that throw. And man, I don't know how I lived without one of these. Let me show you what I'm doing. So this is a pile of stuff I got rid of. So these are load sensing, so it ramps up and down depending on how hot it is and how much power it's using. So obviously you touch the power here, I think it can generate like 75 amps. So it's great for powering a car like this without a battery and all this garbage. You can just shove this guy anywhere. I have a bunch of these for 12 volt systems. And so there's power, there's ground, nice and green, power, and then you can, like I said, you can throw power, but I'm trying not to do that till I get everything sorted. And you can go through and touch all these wire ends. This has nothing right now, the key isn't on, and you can easily find, like, this guy's a ground and whatnot. So you can, just a quick thank you for coming to my TED Talk. This ground is dead totally right now, so it's probably something that gets powered. Yeah, you go through all this garbage. These three I have to isolate, but these three power the entire interior. Brake lights work, radio, ignition, everything. But if you power one at a time, nothing works. So one of these is like the ignition, and then one of them is the main feed. So I'm going to go back and forth, and it's probably, there's a yellow, green, and there's two yellows. So I want to label them. I bet the yellow-green is ignition source, and I bet the yellow-yellow is, depending, like 2/2 of the fuse box. They're the heaviest wires, besides this red guy. But yeah, you can go down here and touch things and find grounds and everything else. Then you can key on, and you can find stuff that's key on and whatnot. Yeah, so you just do that all day. And I cut out a bunch already. Obviously the whole front end is cut out, and I have the whole fender over here. Tons of wiring. I've had people comment that you can throw almost everything out except for 2 wires on that side for the headlight and turn signal, and then this side has a headlight and turn signal harness. Obviously it matches the headlight plug. I'm gonna obviously not cut that out, so we'll just keep going through. But this thing had an ABS brick with like 35 wires going to it, so you can assume most of it is hot garbage. Literally these 3 yellow wires, almost everything in the car works. I have to keep blower motor, brake lights, rear turn signals, everything. So assumption is that the headlights are going through it, and then I can just keep stripping back and getting rid of everything. And then once it's almost down to no wires, you pull them in the car and wire them to whatever fuse panel I use, and then nothing out here exists. Oh look, the frame's a ground. But yeah, I have a a huge HP 1000 watt power supply with battery jumper cables from Amazon attached to it, and my power probe. Does the ground get through that motor mount? Nope. Nope, all that powder coat. Yep, there we are. So yeah, that's where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. I mean, what else is there? If you're confident with this stuff, it's not bad. If you're not, I mean, you can just go ahead and try it, blah blah blah. So this one's battery on, obviously. So that's a ground, I'm sorry. Oh no, is it? I keep forgetting what the colors are. They should be power. No, this is a ground now because I don't have the fuse box labeled. Red's power. This is a ground now. Because if you feed the block, this is a power bus. So something is grounding into this bus and now it's a ground because it's not getting a power feed. So, all sorts of funny stuff like that because I jumped them over to here to feed the interior. So now I gotta blue tape these and label that they power the interior, which I think even my Fairmont had big yellow wires that powered almost everything in the interior. So, you know, Ford's sticking to it. 80 to 02 here. They're sticking to their guns, so that's always nice to see. But yeah, it's boring work, but literally that's all I'm doing is rifling through all of this. There's a bunch of relays. Assumption is, like, this has a fuel pump module and all sorts of garbage. All that's getting rewired anyway. So whatever I find going to the fuel pump, if I can find it in the car and everything else, it's just getting removed. And I'm running new fuel pump wires for pretty much everything because they're not going to be robust enough for what I'm doing. But yeah, this is how it gets done. It scares a lot of people, but honestly there's not a lot of wires here coming out of this fuse panel. And literally these three yellows power everything in the car so far. HVAC, literally everything works. The only thing I want to find out is one of these is probably like AC clutch on. Almost the only thing I'm going to need is the AC signal wire. It's coming out of both one of these sides. Someone sent me a bunch of wiring diagrams, and then another guy said he would send me like an entire, he has like a manual for '02 Mustangs only, and he's shipping it to my PO box. Obviously that's fantastic, and that'll make everything extremely easy. But yeah, all I'm doing is sifting wiring, and then what I'm going to do is blue tape all this stuff and then keep trimming back and eventually pull it all into the car. I want all my fuses and wiring and everything in the car, unless I decide to do something dumb and put it inside the fender and never be able to reach it again. No, I'd rather have it in the car, especially if I have this much length and I have some room somewhere to mount all this. It's all getting, this is plenty of length to go all over inside the car. More than likely I'm going to pull the airbag out behind the dash. It's not going to work anyway, and I can mount a lot of things there in the passenger side cowl. So, quick explanation of what I'm doing. I'm literally just probing things, and then you key on and see what's on and off, and then you figure it out and label them. It's literally that easy. Because everything out of the fuse panel is mostly getting powered, so that's how you figure it out. Obviously heavy gauge stuff is going in the car, blah blah blah. So I wanted to give a quick explanation of how I do this stuff. You know, it's not complex, a little bit time consuming, but if you do anything like this, it's mostly, it becomes common sense. It's not that bad. So we'll throw this into a video and move on from there.